So I've heard the more languages someone speaks, the more they seem to embrace culture differences. This openness leads them to judge other people less. Like, it's unlikely for them to question someone who's wearing a tight outfit, or they won't judge you if you're keeping a boundary between you and your loved ones. So, long story short, 3 weeks ago, I just wrapped up a 6-month journey around the globe. I've just returned to New York City not long ago, exposing myself to various cultures and some intense soul searching, the solitude that I've been dealing with myself. I've come to see things, I've come to have more mental clarity. I've come to see things more clearly about judgment, about fame, about health, and about my own identity. So in those 6 months, I've learned to respect the differences between people. I really have figured out what kind of books I really want to read, what kind of experience I want to deepen, and which other place in this world I would say a second home base. During those 6 months, we switched between cities and countries. We visited and stayed in 9 countries. You might not have noticed I've been traveling, but if you've been watching my video and judging from the different backgrounds that I shot, you will soon realize I was always on the move. So in today's video, I want to talk about my deep insights from traveling through 9 different countries, from the west to the east and then going back to the west. I will share some stories, insights, and some gossip for me to visualize once-in-a-lifetime events that have shocked me. The first insight would be I was surprised by our adaptability, because starting from New York, we flew directly to southern Portugal, UK, Malta, several cities in Italy. Then after Europe, we went to Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and then flew from New Zealand back to LA, and then back to New York. So our first stop was Portugal. So in a small town called Faro, in the southern Portugal, life is very peaceful. It's so different from New York City, and everyone seems to smile as if all the worries are swept away from the calm vibes. Lovely, tasty brunch here only costs like $10, and it's served by a beautiful waitress who might run a show family cafe here. She is beautiful without knowing it. I would say people here are very chill because of the affordable living cost, very comfortable life, and warm, approachable locals due to their stable social welfare system and the national universal health policies that can greatly reduce people's life pressures. So everybody seems so chill. Here I learned how to kind of just slow down, enjoy every ordinary moment, and feel the ease no matter how the world changes. It's so tolerant and welcome here, so I felt like life here was full of sunshine, smiles, and it's so welcoming, even the foreigners and tourists, into this serene and joyful moment of the southern part of Portugal. And then there's a story to share with another friend of mine from Romania. So when I was traveling in South Portugal, I had a very demanding client. I felt that my boundaries were being pushed and challenged every time I talked to him. So I asked this Romanian friend, because we were so different, we came from completely different, culture and background. I asked him, hey, would you trade your own time and maybe your respect for 100,000 revenue? If you were me, how would you choose between, either the money or the respect and happiness and peace of mind? So his response was really surprising. He said, making money is not even my top 5 priorities. So if I have to sacrifice my freedom and respect, I would sense something was off right from the bat, and I wouldn't even start to deal with that person at all. So that was really a wake-up call to let me do some self-reflection about what do I value the most in life, because I come from a combination of both an Asian, very intense, and the US culture of always you have to work double, work extra, work so hard to earn that living. But the Europeans always seem in a different perspective, and money isn't always everything. So that day talking to my friend and lisping has definitely changed my mind for a little bit. I know that I mentioned we were in Asia for a bit, so we were in Hong Kong, Taiwan. I usually went to Hong Kong for a very quick work trip, right? So it's actually my first time to live there as a resident, not on a very brief business trip. We stayed there for roughly 5 weeks to 6 weeks. It was really chill to use the local facilities, using the sports center, squash center, playing with locals, to actually live like a local there. Make me feel like fitting in this culture. And in Taiwan, because it happened to be the president election during the stay we were there, and I was strongly suggested not to discuss politics with the taxi drivers, because when they open up, you wouldn't be able to end this conversation with them, and it probably won't be a very joyful ride. So experiencing the Taiwanese elections and the cultural dynamics and how the GPP was like trying to promote themselves with very intense propaganda, suppressing the KMT by literally broadcasting something like, oh, a missile just fly by the country. And later they corrected, oh, that was a typo. It was not a missile, it was just a satellite. To sort of like scare off people onto voting for KMT. So I would say my Asian journal deeply immersed me with cultural diversity. Of course, these Asian cities and countries are very diverse. You know, Singapore, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. One place with intensity, the other place with tranquility, and maybe with Singapore's, modernity. Maybe Pounder finding a second home outside of New York City. And so far, we both agree that Hong Kong is someplace that we like sort of the most. And second takeaway would be health is really important. So we did a comprehensive health checkup in Taiwan, including a colonoscopy, which is not suggested at my age at all. After I find a benign tumor, it has really made me reevaluate my lifestyle and health and diet, dietitian in general. I was fortunate to find out in an early age how important health is. No matter where we are and no matter how wealthy you are, there's definitely a certain things like close relationship with your families, your partners, and health that cannot be bought by money. And the third insight I've come to mind is I learned to live more present. So throughout my travels, right, there's plenty of time of my solitude, places where I go just to work on my own, just, hang out in the library for the entire day. So it actually gave me a lot of time, freedom, opportunities to reflect on the meaning of fame, the so-called achievement, relationship, and so on. There's an interesting quote I've heard during this trip is, no matter how famous you are, how successful you are, your grandchildren might not even be able to remember your name, let alone what you did, or let alone like what short period of time you very struggled with your own stress or whatever. So let's put it in this way. No matter how successful or how wealthy you are, nobody would care about you as much as yourself that cares about your own ups and downs, your emotional well-being, or in general, your wealth and your fame. So we actually leave this world. It didn't really make that much of a big difference with this world. There's only a single digit of people you could count, that actually you will remember their name throughout the past 5,000 to 8,000 years. So why would you really struggle about how much you can build, how much fame you're sharing, how much shit people actually give you? After a couple years or after a couple decades, you'll be completely forgotten. So the only person who should care about your well-being is literally yourself. So that has made me realize everybody's life have to come to a conclusion or ending point at some point of your life. But living more present can make, your happiness to be magnified and to experience present happiness in a more wholesome and comprehensive way. So these are just my shallow takeaways from my 6th month of traveling. We really have experienced a lot of diverse cultures, food, sort of medical tourism in terms of all different countries, the medical system, something like that. It was really fun. And I really enjoy putting all those reflections in here. So maybe in a couple years, when I look back into those stories, I'll be like, that was some good takeaway. And I'm glad I've put them into a video. The older version of me in the future would be proud of how present I am today.